All right, you've made it. Now, there is so much more to learn about React, but you now know all the building blocks you need to start building React apps for yourself. So let's look at a quick summary of the core concepts we've talked about in this course. We talked about JSX and how it's a wrapper around JavaScript that allows you to write your UI using a familiar syntax, HTML. We noticed that there were a couple slight differences here and there, but for the most part, it helps writing components feel very familiar. We talked about two different kinds of components that you can make, a functional component and a class component, and what each one of those is capable of. Basically, if you need state or lifecycle methods, you will have to use a class-based component. Otherwise, it's a pretty good practice to just stick with a functional component. In fact, going forward, React is kind of looking like they'll be releasing features that allow everything to be written as a functional component if you want. We talked about some basic ways to style React. If you're using CSS classes, you'll need to use class name inside of your JSX in order to assign a class to that element. Or you could write your CSS as a style object directly in your JavaScript, which can be helpful if you need them to be dynamic or you just generally prefer to style right there inside your component. We talked about props, which are the primary way to pass data down the component tree. And we covered state, which allows your components to hold on to and modify the data. Anytime you want to change state, you'll need to use the setState method. We talked about conditional rendering. Using various vanilla JavaScript techniques, you can determine which parts of your UI you want to show up at any given time. And oftentimes this is done based on some variable that's held in either state or props. And we spent some time learning about forms in React and how to gather input from users in form elements. And there is so much more about React that I would love to cover, but we're going to have to save all that other good stuff for another course. For now, thanks so much for letting me guide you through learning one of the best frameworks out there.